Here is a video that I have been wanting to make for a while about building a round deck. And I have to say, I have seen a lot of different methods for framing these, and some of those methods aren't very good. And feel free to take a look at them. I think I typed round deck construction or framing into one of my favorite search engines. And I'm guessing at least 25% of them don't seem like they would work very good. And some of them are built similar to this here. They will have two beams with some cantilever joists coming across, and then who in the heck knows what they do with this section here. Now this is the section I'm going to be focusing on in this video right here, and provide you with a few different ways to do it. Now what I did was I took the circle that I started with on the ground and simply raised it to the top of the edge of the joist. And if we go 16 inches on center, you can see where this joist here isn't going to be supported. And you might need to do something like this. However, if you do something like this, for example, run another support beam down the middle so that you can add one or two more beams, you might be able to frame something a little better. And you can see here where this joist is now fully supported. And we're not really going to have a problem with the center joist as long as the span for the cantilever and the distance between the supporting beams works for most of the floor joist span charts. And another thing you might need to do is contact a structural engineer or your local building authorities to make sure you can even do something like this. And for this beam here, I simply cut a couple of angles on the sides and securely fastened it to the beams. And you can do that with a variety of different nails, screws, lags, building hardware, or even do something like this where I notch the bottom of the beam to provide some additional support. And of course, I'm not about to suggest this right here is an approved building method. It's just something else I came up with when I was designing this project. So again, here's an example here of something that might work. Otherwise, you might be able to do something like this, where you simply add an angled joist and then fasten some more boards to the side of that joist, something like this. And of course, I've cut everything in this video square except for a couple of joists at the very end. You can always shape the ends of the blocks to create a better connection. And even run a bolt, drill a hole through the end of the board here, and then install a nut, bolt, and a washer to create a better structural connection. And again, I'm just throwing some more ideas out here and not suggesting that you need to use any of them in this video, because the purpose of this video was to provide you with a few things that will work and a few more that might require a little more thought. Now here's something I don't see a lot of, and that would be to add a few more footings. Now in the previous example, we had 4 footings. We had 2 footings for one beam, 2 footings for another beam. However, if we add 4 more footings, I think this design right here is going to provide us with something that's going to be a little stronger and work a little better, even though it might not look like it right now. Because all of the joists from here to here are fine, but these right here don't look good. They kind of look like they're going to be teetering on the end here and not providing us with the best design. And I'm not about to suggest that this won't work for you. If you think about it, if you just move this joist back about 3 or 4 inches, you're probably going to be okay. It's going to depend upon the size of the deck or the diameter of the deck. So let's go ahead and change things up here. And I have a different design over here, another one over here, along with a row of blocks that will help us with our decking. And the decking is going to be running perpendicular to the joist, or in this direction here. So we're going to need some type of support blocks if we use this method here, along with some type of perimeter blocking around the entire deck. And I'm not going to be going into that in this video. However, if you want a little more information on that, feel free to let us know in the comment area, and I will add it to my list of videos to be made in the future. Now, the biggest problem with this right here is I have about 2 feet from this point to this point. and that might not be that big of a deal. So one method for finishing that section, and this area looks pretty good here, and for those of you who are looking to make it a little stronger, double up this joist here by adding one more and attaching it parallel to this one. And you can always install some hangers under the joist or redesign it like this to where we're going to have two joists. Or you can change the angle on this one here to reposition it and kind of split the difference between this area here to where the measurement from this point to this point and this point to this point will be closer than it would be if you installed it like this over here. And of course, we could always move it back to this joist here and then double it up again and then use hangers and then run a row of blocks or 2 rows of blocks instead of installing the joist. And again, I like this design here, except I'm not 100% sold on this section here and think that we might be better off with an angled joist there to reduce the length of this section right here. And again, that would be if this is a concern to you. If you're building a smaller deck, then this might not be a problem. And in this view here, you can see where the cantilevers are nice. They're not sticking out very far and they're going back far enough. And for those of you who aren't familiar with cantilever measurements, usually 1/3 or 1/4 of the joist sticks out, and then 2/3 or 3/4 of it comes back. And I do have other videos on that. And of course, I'm going to provide you with 2 more designs here. And in this design here, we're going to have 1 joist. This one here, we're going to have 2. And the 2 joists will reduce the measurement from here to here. And again, depending upon the size of your deck will depend upon which one you're going to use. And of course, I shaped the end of this joist here, which is what you're probably going to need to do to install the curved or circular fascia board. And you can see here where the cantilever on this one is working out great. And we can install our blocks that will be helping to support the decking. And if you're looking for something a little stronger, then do something like this to reduce the distance or the span from point to point. And of course, keep in mind, I am not providing you with all of the blocking and everything else necessary to finish a deck like this. My main concern with this video is to provide you with a method that might make these decks structurally stronger. And let's go ahead and wrap the video up with a few more pictures of the decking to provide you with a reason why we're installing the blocks here. Because without these blocks, there's a good chance that the decking material is going to be overspanned. And of course, I installed some perimeter blocks here because more than likely the end of the deck will need some type of support. And I also wanted to point out that you might be able to move the span blocks to provide better nailing or to provide you with a way to create shorter spans in these areas. And here you can see where the end of the block is shaped to match the circle along with these joists here. And hopefully if you made it this far in the video, you learned a little bit more about framing these circular decks. And as always, if you have any questions at all, feel free to leave them in the comment area, and I will answer them as soon as possible.